is your no bullshit guide to a happier life. Quick, but not necessarily easy tips to help you to squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of your business and your life. My name is Helen Calvert. I'm a coach, a business owner and a parent, and I'm so happy to be here with you. I do swear occasionally, as the title suggests, so pop in your headphones if I'm not safe for little ears. Ready to go? Let's do this. Hello and welcome to this episode where I am once again interviewing the fabulous Stephanie Ward because she has once again agreed to be our headline sponsor for the whole of this season of the podcast. Thank you so much, Steph. You are a legend.
Thank you for having me. Honestly, there was no way I wasn't going to do it again because you're just so wonderful, and I fully support everything that you do.
Oh, thank you so much. And back at you, my dear. So for people who don't know, although I don't know how they wouldn't know at this point, but for people who don't know, let's start with telling everybody who you are and what you do. Who is Stephanie Ward?
Oh, that's a big question.
That's a big question.
That's a big question. So who is Stephanie Ward? Well, most of the people who know me will know me for my work with Spicy Brain Energy and the Spicy Brain Collective. My businesses support neurodivergence in business with a range of done for and done with services. We very much build it around scaffolding autonomy rather than replacing someone, because I think when someone feels empowered to do something for themselves, they just do better, you know? It's like the look on someone's face when they have done something for the first time and knowing that they are capable of doing it is one of my favorite things. So where most VA services would, take it off you, we actually do it. We will do things for you, but also we like to do it with you so that you learn at the same time. Because I just think as neurodivergents, we've had our autonomy stripped for so long, and we like to give some of that back. We still will do the things, but how cool is it on a Sunday night when you don't need to ring me from the pub? But the Spicy Brain Collective community is completely free to join. And why I started that was just to love on neurodivergence, because a lot of us work alone, have detached family relationships, and it's creating the family and the community that we all needed.
Yeah. And it's absolutely fantastic. And just watching you build it has been such a joy, Steph, because I know this has been something you've been working on for a long time. None of us just arrive on the scene, do we? There's a lot of behind the scenes work before we get to a point where people see us. So yeah, it's awesome. So we talked about neurodivergence a lot last year because last year's season of the podcast was all about the autistic experience of being in the world. It was a real deep dive into my autistic experience, and I think it was helpful for a lot of other people as well. But this year, the theme is all about stepping into our power. Now, you just mentioned empowering people, and I know that you empower a lot of your clients. But what I'd love to hear about, because I've been watching from the sidelines this past year, Steph, all the things you've been doing, and I just want to hear all about your power moves over the last 12 months, because my goodness, what haven't you done? So fill us in on what on earth has been going on in the world of Stephanie Ward.
Goodness, yeah. So the thing is that the last time I was interviewed for this podcast was last year, and about 3 months before that, somebody who was a very dear friend of mine, who I genuinely loved with all of my heart, decided to leave my business. And what then happened was there was clients that went with them. I offered them to take them. Actually, there was a lot of underhandedness. I don't want to cover that too much because I don't want to give it any more airtime than it is already taken. But
absolutely,
when I came into 2025, what a lot of people don't know is that I was actually doing something called the 391 Days Project. And that was because 391 days before the 31st of December 2025, I decided that I had completely lost the joy in everything that I did. And I decided that I was going to give it my all, and I was going to give everything I had. I was going to say yes to everything, and I was going to give it. It's like on 13 Reasons Why, where she goes and she's like, I'm just going to give it one last try. And so that's what I did. So over the last year, I've been to the opening of envelopes. I have travelled all over the UK. I have been away probably once a fortnight, with the exception of July and August. I've been all over the UK. I've been to America 4 times. I've just gone to everything. Any opportunity that was put in front of me to connect, to network, to grow, to develop, I have accepted it with open arms. So I think for me, what I also did alongside this was decided consciously to change my branding, because at the start of last year, I had two VA businesses, one which was access to work funded support, and one which was around it was like marketing and fundraising and stuff, but for the charity sector. But what we started to find is actually it was too much of an administrative headache having them separate. And I wanted to be able to take my name off the business in case I decided to sell it. So we started a merger around sort of the March time, where we started to gradually bring clients into the Spicy Brain Energy strand rather than Stephanie Ward Online Business Services. That allowed for some natural wastage to make the admin less. We then moved all our clients and staff eventually to that business so that Stephanie Ward Online Business Services could be dissolved. And it's not that I wanted to sell the business. I just wanted to have the option. I wanted to make sure that when I was ready to make the decision, there was nothing going to be stopping me from pursuing it. And so that's what I did. And there was something that happened around May when I was in LA that I learned how the Americans do things is very different to us. Is it better? I'm not sure. But they will stand in front of you and they will say to you, like, how they are the best at what they do. They'll tell you that they are incredible and excellent, and even if they are the most mediocre white man in a grey suit.
Yes, I can believe that.
And what I realized is that in order to keep up with the game, and that I needed to actually understand and celebrate and share how excellent I was. So I started doing that piece of work. Obviously, I spoke at the big festoon in March, which was quite a big level up for me. By the time I got to the big festoon in October, there wasn't a single person in that room who didn't know my name. And that was fucking terrifying, being honest. There was one point somebody came up to me and said, I need a word with you. I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry for whatever I did.
That would be my response as well.
What they actually said was they have a child who is transgender, who had been offered a lot of opportunities and had some of them that had been exploitative. And so I had said to someone who was having a conversation with this child, oh, make sure you loop his mum in. But this person hadn't realized he was a child. So they were like, oh my God, went to his mum and was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize this is the conversation I've had. And this lady who came to me said, nobody's ever actually, spoken up for me in the role of my children. And for me, that was a huge, huge compliment, because the thing is that I saw that other people had told me that this was going on. So I became an advocate for it, because I think it's very important that when you know better, you do better.
Absolutely.
But it was these little bits of feedback that have kind of made me realize that I have stepped into this now, in terms of I know who I am, I know what I stand for, and I am confident that I am doing good in the world. But it's like I've been told I tread the line between iconic and irresponsible.
What an amazing line to tread.
I absolutely do. But the thing is that it's actually not as irresponsible as it looks. It's very much calculated decisions. I risk assess and analyze everything. And I do things that I think are going to move the needle. So as much as it looks like chaos goblin, and it very much is in a lot of ways, it is calculated chaos, because my power move is I show up exactly as who I am. And I also bring the fire.
Absolutely. I would agree with that 100%, Steph. And knowing who we are and what we stand for, that is the root of all of our power, isn't it? That's the difference. How has life been different for you? I was going to say, now that you know who you are, I suspect you've always known who you are, but now that you are unapologetically who you are.
So in all honesty, I think I'm still on a journey to find out some of the parts of me. I don't know if you've seen Runaway Bride, where is it Harrison Ford's going around speaking to all the grooms she's jilted?
I think it's Richard Gere, isn't it?
Is it Richard? I think
so. One of them.
It's a silver fox, whichever way, but it's a hot, grey-haired man, and he's going around all of these grooms asking how that things went down. But he discovers a pattern in that she doesn't know how she takes her eggs. She takes her eggs according to the partner that she has been with at any point. So scrambled with a pinch of pepper. Do you know what I mean? And I realized after breaking up with my partner last year that it's not that I don't know how to take my eggs literally, but actually I don't know what I like, who I am, and what I enjoy. And that was really hard for me, because as someone who comes across quite outwardly self-assured and confident, that completely it almost it completely knocked me off sideways.
Yeah.
Because I was like, how can I be this in this side of my life and this in the other? And what I've learned is actually I have to try new things. So as an autistic, that is hard. But
Yes.
also And I went to LA in May, and my lovely friend Ben was traveling there as well. So I was able to meet him at Heathrow, travel together, and navigate my first ever long haul flight. So when I broke up with my partner in August, and the Hollywood gang were just like, come to San Diego for a week. I said, I can't just come to San Diego. They're like, of course you can. 3 days later, I am on a flight to San Diego. I spent 2 days in California, 5 days in Arizona, and I had the best time with people that I'd met back in May. And I realized that actually now I know how to navigate travel. And admittedly, I will say that there is one particular airport that is particularly terrible, and I have an ongoing complaint.
Yes, we've had this discussion, haven't we? But yes, we can come back to that, but I hear you.
We have, but it's like, as much as that is a thing, I know that I can navigate travel alone. So I've been back to California in December. I've just come back from New York because I know that I can travel independently and safely. And it's just so exciting. So something I'm looking forward to is actually discovering the bits of me that I don't know yet. And that's really powerful for me.
It is hugely powerful. And, so many of my coaching clients, I have that discussion with them whereby they don't really know what they like and what they enjoy. And sometimes it's because, for all kinds of reasons, they have lost themselves. And other times it's because they haven't had the time to do the things they like and enjoy. So it's been so long since they've even been asked the question.
Yeah.
And just understanding what brings us joy is another really foundational part of our power. Because, well, I don't know about anybody else, but I wouldn't particularly want to have a powerful life without a joyful life. I feel like the two need to go together. I know that when I've been talking about power, a lot of people have had a kind of twitchy negative response because, of course, we see a lot of power being misused.
We
But
absolutely
actually, our power to do good in the world is enormous. And I know that that's something that you've been, exploring as well, like the impact that we can all have.
Yeah, like, so when I was on a training back in May, a few days before I went to LA with Danny Wallace, and we were talking about like what we want to be known for. And I said, I would love to be known as the person who calls Donald Trump out when he says something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And back in, I think it was the summer sometime, I was contacted by Metro because Donald Trump was about to announce the connection between paracetamol and autism, or rather the lack of, but he was very much committed to dying on this.
Yes, I remember.
And I was very excited to write that piece because the thing is that I think that, so one of my biggest things at the minute is that we use AI wrong, right? Don't bear with this side quest. This sounds like a side quest, but it does come back. If I forget, we're going back to Donald Trump. But
Okay.
we use AI to replace creativity.
Yes.
To replace the things that make us human. And what then happens is we're feeding our best ideas into an open source language model, which has problems of its own.
Yeah.
But autistic people are losing things like their critical thinking skills. They're treating the information coming out as facts because we can't believe that something can lie to us. Whereas people with ADHD use it for the good girl validation pat on the back that we all thrive on. And the thing is that when we stop using our own intuition and our own critical thinking and our own regulation skills, we lose the things that make us human. And it means that if we continue down that thread, which is inevitably something that could happen if we aren't careful, we lose our place in things like democracy because we aren't criticizing the things that are happening in the world around us. And the whole point of democracy is that we have a voice that can be heard to influence the way the world is that we live in is developed and growing. And so I firmly believe that we should be critical of the things going around us. And it doesn't mean that we're coming around like Billy Big Bollocks, coming around stomping around angry, but just I said to Metro that I couldn't contribute within 2 weeks of a trip because I didn't want anything that I wrote to be seen and potentially picked up at the US borders.
Absolutely. It's always a consideration. Yeah.
It is. And the thing is, because I'm on an Esther, I don't have to disclose my social media, but I'm still cautious that if I say the wrong things, I can't be in the rooms to make the change. The thing is that it's so much harder to hate the face of the thing that you can see. So if I turn up as this chaos goblin of a neurodivergent, physically disabled woman and do the thing that I'm doing, it's harder to hate me if you can see me. Whereas you can hate what I represent. Somebody recently on a call said that we're talking about things that we wish we could end in the world, and I said it was perception around disability. Mm-hmm. And one of the people in the breakout room with me said he wishes that he could end people misusing wheelchair assistance when they can clearly walk. I said, well, I'm going to challenge you there respectfully and curiously, because I use wheelchair assistance through an airport. Now, I can walk around to a point, but navigating an airport with my baggage is actually quite dangerous. And at the time, it was just because of my leg and the issues around that. But now I do have this heart condition and my blood pressure can get quite low. The triggers for that are sitting to standing and heat. So if I go from a warm aeroplane to a cold docking bay, my blood pressure drops very, very quickly. And that inevitably can result in passing out. People don't die from the condition, they die from the head injuries. But I'm explaining this man, like, just because I look like a 35-year-old able-bodied woman, that doesn't mean that it's safe for me to walk. And this man was humbled, let me tell you.
I didn't think he was.
Oh, he was mortified. But the thing is that he found it easier to have that discussion because I was coming at it kindly and because I was very much asking and challenging with curiosity rather than aggression.
Yes.
And I think that is soft power in action, like soft power it's almost like sneaky, isn't it? It's insidious. It creeps in and we do it like on the slide, but then people are much more respectful of that because it comes across as kindness rather than dictatorship.
Absolutely. And this is something that we've talked about before, Steph, because I know a lot of people who want to use the power that they have, the voice that they have to call out crap in the world. And I think that's admirable and absolutely fantastic. But it's also important to remember that there's no prescription for how we use our power. And for me, I have learned that my power lies in bringing people together so that they can have those conversations. Because I have people in my world from all of the different sides of these discussions. I'm dating an American, his political affiliations are, shall we say, not the same as yours. So, it's really, which is fascinating, endlessly fascinating. But my power lies in bringing him into contact with other people, bringing other people into, it's bringing people together where it seems as though they must be so far apart, it's going to be a great big row. And like you say, it's the use of that soft power to make those conversations possible. And also, as you quite rightly say, to put a face to things. Yeah. Because most people will meet my partner and he's a lovely guy and he's compassionate and he's wonderful and he helps my friends. And then we talk about his political affiliations and suddenly it's not as easy to say, oh, all Donald Trump supporters are racist wankers. It's like, well, hang on, I've met Alex. He's not a racist wanker. So what does this tell us about the world? And we can learn more. And I think that is a really key part of using our power. Like, we don't all have to do the same things. You don't have to be marching in the streets to be powerful. You can think about how you use your power to achieve what it is you want to achieve, which I think is also really, really important because we don't all have the same goals, and that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, I think if we were all aiming to be the same, the world would be a really, really boring place to be.
Very.
It's like when I was in Oceanside in the summer, I was talking to my friend Helmut. So he was running for the mayor of Atlanta in Georgia, and he is amazing. He is very gay, very flamboyant, very, very beautiful personality. And when he told me his political affiliations, I was genuinely shocked because how can he be this rainbow of a human and be affiliated where he is? But when we talk about these things, and actually part of the power for him is being able to stand behind it and say, this is how I feel, but also these are the reasons why I feel that way. And his whole mentality is around gay love will heal the world. Because
I love that.
Like the LGBTQ community love everyone, right? They are the people who teach us the most about love and free love and loving each other, regardless of various factors. And so to find someone like that who had views that don't align with mine was absolutely fascinating. And I think the thing is that what I loved as well about going to America is that every room I was in challenged my almost like challenged my perception of things. So when we went to Arizona, we went to this cafe and it was actually called the Beeline Cafe. And it was like everywhere we went, we're seeing bees, and everyone who was there connected through Danny Wallace. So we're all like, oh my God, there's more bees, more bees. And we're running around like buzzing about these bees. That was not intended as a pun.
Good fun.
And I'm in this cafe with this guy. And he's telling me about his past and how he was a veteran. He came out of the military, he got himself in trouble, and he ended up going to prison for 18 years.
Wow.
Okay. And this man's telling me, how when he was in prison, he rewrote things like prisoner education and prisoner peer mentoring programs and things like that. He came out to start his own prisoner rehabilitation facility. It's still going in Arizona to this day. And the thing is, this man did 18 years in jail. That doesn't happen for funsies.
No,
But he is one
absolutely.
of the kindest and gentlest people I've ever met. And when we went to this like vista towards where he was going at his ranch, Isabel just went and sat on this cliff. I was like, I cannot do that. Right. And this guy who has literally done serious time, who could have been literally anyone who I met 15 minutes earlier, said to me, look, if you want to do that, I will take you to the edge. I will hold your hand. I will sit you down. I will move for the photograph. But if you say my name, I'll be back faster than you can say your own and I will get you off that.
Oh,
And the thing is that perceptions around him might be that he's not a safe person, but he's very much a safe person. What he's doing on this ranch is budding up foster care leavers and veterans without a purpose, putting them together to give them this really strong trauma informed like program that's going to just change their lives. And the thing is, if you look at people's containers and judge their impact and their character based on things that you preconceive about them, you miss out on getting to know some wonderful humans. Joe, I speak to him at least once a week now. He's one of the like most wonderful people I've ever met. He's just such a fascinating human. The fact he was in prison is one part of his life, but it's something that like has sent him on this mission where he can have a real impact in the world, and I can get on board with that.
100%. And I've been talking a lot about influence because we can think about how we influence the world as being a part of our power, but we also give a lot of our power away by who we're influenced by.
Yeah.
And regardless of, what side of things you're on or what you believe, I think it's very easy for all of us to be influenced by corporations, media, messages that try to divide us into very strict boxes. So you think this, so you must be that. You believe this, so you must be that. You voted that way, so you must think this. And that is stripping us all of so much power because the human experience is way more diverse than that, far more fascinating. And as you say, when you actually meet the people, it blows it out of the water. And then we realize that we're being boxed up for somebody else's benefit, not for our benefit at all.
Yeah.
And
This
that's
is
really
it.
difficult when you're neurodivergent because, of course, if you're autistic, it's useful to have boxes. So we're like, yes, brilliant, put everything in a box and I'll understand it. But actually, it can really stunt our understanding of the world.
Oh yeah, like the thing is, like we put things in boxes because marketing encourages us to stereotype, and we think we have to stereotype with marketing to go down the route of ideal client work. Like, I can tell you now, my ideal customers, they are all very driven by impact. They're all very motivated by changing the world. They all wish they could shop in like clothing recycling or ethical brands. In reality, they buy it on Shein and feel shit about it.
Yes.
Like when I say that to people who've worked with me, they're like, "Oh my god, that's so me." The thing is, stereotype, and what that does is what it tells me about my people is very valuable in terms of how I communicate with them. But that doesn't mean that that's the most interesting thing about them either. There's so many boxes that we fit into or that we identify with. But like I'll say that in terms of my autism and ADHD and my physical disabilities, that is one of the least interesting things about me. What is interesting is how those experiences have shaped my life so that I can change the world. You want no interesting things about me? Ask me, tell me about your business, and I will sit and give you an entire fully actioned and implemented plan within a day. I've just done that this weekend. I get excited by a lot of things, but the boxes I'm in are the things that people want. When I lost a lot of weight, all people were interested in is the weight loss. They don't care that, I've got all these wonderful things I do. They care about the fact I've lost 8 stone. And that
Yeah.
is one of the least interesting things about me, right?
Oh, weight is that is a box that people love to put all kinds of things in. You're this weight, so therefore you must be add in 25 things that have got nothing to do with our body shape whatsoever. Yeah, it's a real power stripper, the weight thing, whatever weight you are.
Well, yeah, like I'm very much of this school of thought is that everybody's body is beautiful. And as long as you are happy inside that body, I am happy for you. And I find it really disappointing that there are people that are healthier than me and smarter than me, but they're in a plus size body, so they are treated differently by the world.
Yes.
Like that, me being the way I am does not make me a better person. Your weight is not a moral aspect. But I think, being able to stand up and say, this is who I am and how I look. And if you don't like it, get out the way is, again, one of the most powerful things a person can be is to turn up as they are and say, this is me, suck it or love it.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so easy to say, and it's something so many of us aspire to, but it's going to be a real journey to figure out how we do that in the minutiae of life, not necessarily in the big things where, like you say, you get on the stage or you make the big trip, even though those are such powerful things, but it's in the day-to-day things that we do that we can really explore that.
Yeah.
Before I forget, though, you did say to me that you wanted me to ask you about your posters. I am fascinated, Steph. What posters are these? What is going on?
This is literally just saying what you were saying there about like the tiny things in the day, right? So I just had a call before this with somebody who's considering using my company for services. And the thing is, I know I'm really expensive, right? And we haven't even put our prices up for 3 years. So I'm having to navigate this thing and say, look, we are putting the prices up. I'm really sorry that's the case because it will impact how much time you get with us if that's your budget. I said, there's no pressure to ever work with me. Once you're one of our friends, we will look after you forever. But I said, like, have a think about it and come back. And the person said to me, the posters behind you had me sold.
Oh,
So
my
I've got
goodness.
celebrate neurodiversity behind me, which is, we do celebrate all brains, not just the neurodivergent brains, because every brain brings something magical to the table. But we also have here, I love coffee and inclusion, because I genuinely love coffee. You can see my mug here. I'm sure people will love a visual description. This is a fluorescent yellow mug with a cartoon penis drawn on it.
Very
My
you,
son,
Steph. Very
yeah,
you.
and my son gives me this mug every morning because he thinks it's ridiculously funny. Um, but coffee is one of my favorite things, but also proactive, genuine inclusion is the other. And these two posters have been here for a year and a half, and it's the first time somebody has commented and said how safe that made them feel. And it's these tiny actions we do every day that can be the ones that have the most impact. Because even like my community, you join up, and the first thing you get is the code of conduct, and we have a very, very comprehensive inclusion and code of conduct policy, because we don't want anyone to feel unsafe. Now that's a big ambition, and I fully understand that. But it's even things like calling people a Karen, right? One of
Yeah.
my dearest friends in that community is called Karen. And if you're going to call someone a name, just call them a tosser. Don't make tosser synonymous with Karen.
We already
Karen
have
is,
words for tosser. It's fine.
you don't need to make someone's name be the synonym.
Yeah.
Use the words that your language has given you. And it's just so important to me to create these safe spaces so that we can have these conversations that are going to change the world, because one person living their truth, being observed by other people also living their truth, but who might be on the journey, we have the power to osmotically bring people into their own power just by being in the same rooms. And like I said, the reason my community was made free was because I was lonely, and I just wanted to bring people together and love on them. Yes, my community earns me money. It does convert, because when people know that we are good and supportive, they will give us money. But even if people join and never pay us a penny, that's fine by me, because the most important thing is that they've got a safe place to land when things are bad.
Yeah, I hear that. And the trying to make a safe space for people, or somewhere that's safer for people, that requires in my experience, that requires a lot of power, by which I mean that I have been for a couple of years now doing the work, by which I mean listening to the people who know a lot more about it than I do. And it's hard. It's really hard, because you get called out and called in for things. And especially as a neurodivergent person, it can feel like you're being criticized. The old RSD comes up. What do you mean I'm not being inclusive? What do you mean that's not right? What do you mean? And it's been incredibly valuable. I'm a better person, business owner, coach because of it. But I have needed to draw on all of my own power to hold myself steady while I've had to think about things that I'd never thought about before. When I wrote my book, so much in that book is about men and women. And I sold one to someone at Reclaiming's business, and they were non-binary. And I said, look, I'm going to tell you now, if I wrote it now, the gender language would be different. And they're like, it's fine, don't worry about it. But I'm very aware of that. But at the time, I was writing a book, and, I'm a woman, and I was writing it about people, and that was fine. And then you learn, and like you say, you learn more, you do better, you know better. But it's something that I know a lot of people struggle with. And yes, we have people who are assholes and, don't want to pay attention to people's lived experience. But we also have so many people who are so minimized in their own power, that it's then really hard for them to engage in these types of conversations, because how can they help others to live free and live their true life if they're not doing it themselves?
Well, yeah.
Um,
Do you know what it is though? It's like every time someone joins my community, I celebrate, right? Because somebody has seen what I'm doing and wants to be a part of it. But anytime I find out that they are additionally marginalized by things like race, religion, or their gender presentation, anything like that, I celebrate a little bit harder, because as much as I am very much in a space where I have a diverse friend group who I can call upon and ask questions of, and who we all share lived experiences. And it's things like when Regina Martin was in the press about the nurse touching her braids, I didn't know the cultural significance of you don't touch braids, because actually that's a really big way to offend someone in terms of the history behind it. But it's when we have these conversations, when we have people in our proximity who can teach us these things, we can do better. I do feel that as a white woman, me and people who look like me are the problem. It's almost like we got our rights and don't want anybody else to have them in case they take ours away. So I'm very much committed to having conversations, and having safe friends to have them with is so important. But every time someone who is additionally marginalized joins my community, I just celebrate that bit harder, because that is a sign that we're doing something that made them feel safe. And I'd love to know, I'd love to ask them, well, what is it about us that made you feel comfortable here? Because like I say, I was very lucky in that I fell into a very diverse friends group. My inner circle has trans people, it has Black and white and Asian people. And I think the Asian community, given that my stepdad is a Muslim as well, so I was brought up around people from all over Asia. They are a very difficult community to engage with because of the cultural restrictions in terms of covering your heads and actually how you even communicate with people. And so again, when people like that join, something that I just celebrate it every day, because I celebrate that people want to be in our space, and I will make a conscious effort to continue to learn and support them. People are scared to ask questions now because of cancel culture. And I think knowing who the people are, like Danny Wallace's community, and I'll reference Danny repeatedly because every penny I have put into that woman has come back to me a millionfold. Being in Danny's rooms means that everyone comes with curiosity. So it enables you to have the hard conversations and be and do better. And like I say, I can get on board with that, because the more we learn, the better we can be in the world, and the more we can change the world, whether it's for one person or a million. We develop ourselves so that we can support others to develop themselves.
Oh, totally. And it's interesting too, because yes, there's a lot of work to do. And like you say, I learned a huge amount from Regina about the cultural significance of the hair. And, that's something I never knew. So there's plenty to learn. But also on the other side of the coin, it's not that hard to not be a dick. I had Lindsay McGlone came to Happier Life Live, my live event in 2025. And she said that it's such a kind space, and it felt safe, and they were very candid. They said, it's not my normal space, it's not my normal audience, but I felt safe there, and your audience was kind and curious. And as lovely as that was to hear, which is amazing to hear, I was thinking, well, what the hell goes on in other spaces? Because I didn't roll out some kind of rainbow carpet. I just, said, welcome, have a cup of coffee, sit down here. I was just a normal human, and my audience was normal humans. But it makes you wonder what the hell is going on in other places, that it's such a surprise to feel safe for some marginalised people.
Yeah, and so this weekend when I was away with our friend Stuart Morris, who runs High Trent House in Yorkshire, that was a drive and a half in the snow, let me tell you, hairpin bends in the dark and an inch of snow. But what Stuart's created there is a place that he feels safe, because he didn't necessarily have that through a lot of his life. And it's things like, considering it's a 300-year-old building, it is accessible as it can be. I can't wait for the Glitter Crash retreat to sit on a broomstick and sing Defying Gravity on the stair lift.
Oh my goodness, that sounds incredible.
That is happening, is what is going on there. But it's things like, there's a bar which is the noisy bar, and a bar which is the quieter bar. But there's also, and I don't want to tell you this because you know what it is. You just need to see it for yourself. But there is something in one of the bars that is the campest thing I've ever seen. And it is just a sign that he is our people. When I met Stuart at the Festoon in October, It was actually through David Fagan, who I met in LA. David sat us beside each other at dinner, and I knew he was our people. And the thing is, what I love about Stuart is that he not only has a really good understanding of what safety is for him and others, he preaches it in a safe way. You know, he does funerals and adult naming ceremonies for people who are like changing their name because of their gender presentation. And it's just things like that where people who have felt unsafe make the changes to model for others.
Yes.
But what I love about his venue is that it's designed with safety in mind. Like, it's in the middle of nowhere. And, you know, he's doing a talk at Audacious Live in 2 weeks, which I can guarantee is going to be one of the best things ever. But the way he talks about safety, it's something we can all aspire to.
Yeah, there's so many amazing people to learn from. And I think that's one of the most powerful things about our network. We keep introducing each other to new people and learning new things, which is, I'm here for that every day of the week. I know that we could talk all day, Steph. We're not going to, because my audience are used to very short episodes, although I knew this one would be longer, which is perfect. But before I let you go, what do you want my audience to know? Where can they find you? What have you got coming up? Where do you want them to go so they can become a part of your amazing world?
Amazing. So the first place I'll say to go is to find us on Instagram at the Spicy Brain Collective, because that's where you can really see what we do, see how our team move. You need to check out some of the daft content the guys are making at the minute. My team are hilarious. Chloe very much rises to the occasion on content day. Chloe has main character energy. We have the Spicy Brain Collective community. So if you head to community.thespicybraincollective.com, that's where you can join us completely free of charge and come and be loved on. I'm on Instagram as well as stephanieward.ceo, because I've just changed it because I'm pivoting this year. I'm moving into my power very much in terms of my businesses run themselves. And what I'm very good at is I don't do strategy. I do rapid implementation of strategy. So I can look at what people are trying to achieve, give them a day, and get 80% of it bashed out in a day. So that is something that's kind of launching in the next few months. I'm very excited, and I can't wait to take everybody with me and show them what is possible with the right help.
Oh, that all sounds fabulous. Totally on brand for stepping into our power, as I knew it would be. So thank you so much, Steph. This has been an absolute pleasure. And I will end where I always end, which is, of course, we need to just keep being excessively kind to ourselves while we make all these power moves, because that's how we're going to squeeze every last drop of joy out of life. So I shall speak to everyone next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. It's great to have you along for the ride. Are you already a member of my Happier Life Hub? If not, it's time for you to join. For just £20 per month, you get access to a huge library of resources to help you to banish the BS and live your happiest life. Plus a supportive community, online meetups, and access to me via the DMs. It's like having me in your pocket 24/7. Head to happier-life.co.uk/hub for more details.